What's up guys, Lauren and Kyle here. Back in October 2020, we closed on an off-market deal and we've been a little quiet about it because honestly, sometimes we forget we even own it.
We found it through a super low effort direct mail campaign, bought it with good paying tenants, hired out what little maintenance work it needed, and been cash flowing ever since.
But a few weeks ago, we rounded out the final R in the BRRRR process and did a cash out refinance and thought, you know, it's time we share all the details on how we BRRRR'd possibly our best deal yet with the least amount of effort.
Just how I like it. So here is the story of Marky Mark. Almost exactly 1 year ago, back in the summer, we started by driving for dollars and we're focused on distressed single family properties.
All right, driving for dollars went really well. We had a goal of getting 20 addresses and we ended up getting 41. So now I am going to just enter all of them into an Excel document and I'm gonna go through 2 rounds. The first round, I'm going to find out when was the last time the property sold and for how much. This way we can get a sense of like, where's the owner in the process? Because if they just bought a couple years ago, they're obviously not going to sell. And then what did they buy it for? You know, if they bought, unfortunately, around like the 2008 time, they're probably underwater and might not be able to sell at the price we're looking for. And then the second pass through, I'm gonna go and get the owner's name and address. This way we obviously have something to mail to. Once we had all the addresses, we opened up a P.O. box in the town we were mailing to, printed the letters, and hand addressed the envelopes. If you want a detailed rundown of how we do our direct mail, check out our DIY rental property direct mail episode linked up here.
Now that we've got our stack of letters, the next step was to drop them in the mail.
You ready? Yeah? Wait. There we go.
Oh my God.
4 p.m. on tomorrow they're going. 4 days ago we dropped off our batch of direct mail letters. It's the first batch we've ever done. And 2 days ago we got our first call from our mailings. So it was an owner occupant. He got our letter in the mail and gave us a call. He basically just said that he's looking for a change and wants to move out of the area. He kind of sounded like he was maybe just, you know, kicking the tires, not super motivated, but nonetheless, we were able to make an appointment and we're driving to go see him now. Even if nothing comes of this, I just feel like it's good practice. It was really good practice for us to speak to him on the phone. It's gonna be good practice for us meeting him in person and figuring out what are we saying, what's the process, what are we doing. So I think all in all, even if we don't get a deal from this, it's just gonna be a good experience. Today is Monday. On Friday, we went and saw the house that we got a lead on from our direct mail campaign. And we liked it, but we know the guy still has a mortgage on it. And based off of internet stalking, I think he has about $57,000 left on it. And that's more than we want to pay. Right. We're more in the 20,000 range. So we posted that on Instagram. We said, you know, this guy has a high mortgage. We don't think we're going to make it work.
And you always hear people say, you know, if numbers don't work right off the bat, use creative financing. Okay, but what does creative financing actually look like? Like, what are your options? You never really hear what your options are.
It's like when people say like systems and processes. You're like, okay, but like what are the systems?
But what are the systems? Exactly.
So we posted that on Instagram in our story because we're updating along the way. And a lot of our followers and our friends DM'd us and said, why not do subject to? So we actually had one guy, Michael Thompson, reach out to me and said like, hey, if you have any questions about subject to, I'd be happy to talk on the phone. So I obviously took him up on that. And we talked for about a half hour and he just walked me through the process, like what is subject to, what are the benefits, how is it a win-win situation for both people, answers to questions that the seller might have, and he really just kind of like laid it out for me. So I felt like we were more confident with that option. So instead of thinking, this doesn't work, we started thinking, how can this work? And we think a subject to deal might be an option. I would say the one thing I'm nervous about is we now have to educate someone on a process that we're not very educated on.
Yeah, and not come off as like, we want to try to avoid like words that are scary to people that aren't in real estate and we don't want him to feel like he's getting taken advantage of or anything like that, or we're like shark investors coming in to like steal his house from him.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out like how can we present this information without saying subject to and creative financing and comps and payments, and we're trying to think like you know, we really just need to speak his language.
Yeah.
So we did more research on subject 2 and had a conversation with the seller, and ultimately we did not end up closing the deal. We were just too far apart on the numbers.
Fast forward to today, we recently just saw he listed it on the MLS and got over $90,000 for it. So absolutely a smart move on his part for not selling it to us.
So our driving for dollars list wasn't proving very effective, so we switched up our strategy before hitting those leads one more time. What we realized from driving for dollars is that just because a property is distressed doesn't mean the owner is, so we didn't think it was the best fit for us. So now what we did is we pulled a list of expired listings from the MLS and we mailed to them. We mailed them out on Monday, and by Wednesday we got a call. So I spoke to him briefly, I figured out his pain points, he mentioned a price he had in mind, and now Kyle and I are going to call him back to schedule a time to see the house. So Kyle and I spoke, and we're kind of interested in talking to you further about the property. So I know you said you have some difficulty maybe getting in touch with your tenants, but we'd like to see it if that's still an option.
Let me see what happens in the next little while. I'll text this number.
So we're going to see it. And ironically, we got to go to one of our places on Powell that is directly behind it. So we're going to be in the area anyway. So hopefully we get two birds with one stone.
So we were able to iron out a few details with this new seller and scheduled a day to go see the property.
Now, after talking to the seller a few times, we learned of his 3 main pain points. 1, he wanted to sell the property and retire. He just basically wanted to move down south and forget about it. 2, he didn't have the best relationship with the tenants and felt that listing on the MLS and scheduling tours would just be too difficult. And 3, the property is a semi-detached twin, which means it's connected to another single-family home, and that house has been vacant for a long time and was in extreme disrepair.
So we started thinking, okay, what can we do with this information? His first pain point had to do with urgency. No problem. We've got cash available through our HELOC from our first property and can close quickly.
His second was difficult tenants. We came up with a price that we felt comfortable with, even if the inherited tenants didn't pay and we had to evict.
Third was the rundown attached property. We looked up who owned that property, reached out to them, and found they're actually a nonprofit group that plans on renovating, flipping the home to some first-time home buyers, and they actually have a program that is all laid out, and we heard they did great work.
So now that we had ways to solve his problem, Kyle actually went down to see the property and meet the seller in person.
Just got done walking through the potential property, and it has tenants in there, and it's super cute. It definitely needs some work once there is a turnover, but the space, everything is wide open. There's the staircase is running from the front to the back like we like. Some of these properties, the staircase is running left to right. It kind of separates the whole living area downstairs. This one has the benefit of running front to back. It's got a massive property. It's got potentially 4 bedrooms, but the 3rd floor, which has full ceilings, which is a little rare in this area. When you have a 3rd floor living area, a lot of time you have vaulted ceilings, you have pitched ceilings, and it can get really obnoxious, making some space in the room not even usable. This has full, like 8 to 9 foot ceilings in the 3rd floor. There are 2 bedrooms on the 3rd floor, but you have to walk through one to get to another one. So what I'm thinking kind of the plan would be is actually if you could extend and make the 3rd floor bedroom larger, and just make that a little top of the staircase landing area.
So Kyle came back, and I couldn't believe that he verbally agreed on a price. Like, I hadn't even seen the house, and now we're basically gonna buy it.
Did not take a long time, didn't take much negotiating, to be honest. It just was talking about the property that it was attached to. He knew that that was a big deal, so I think that was the main issue for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good job, baby.
Not bad.
With a verbal agreement made, next steps were to get a signed contract. So we reached out to our lawyer, Bonnie Gallum.
Oh, what's up, Bonnie?
And she drafted all the documents we needed, and we were officially under contract.
We sent the signed agreement to the title company along with an earnest deposit check, called our insurance broker to get the ball rolling on a new policy, and then 21 days later, we closed.
Now, we're used to closing on a property and then running in right away to go demo, but this was obviously not the case.
This time, we were inheriting tenants, so all we had to do was meet them, onboard them with new lease and process, see if they needed anything, and just start collecting rent.
Okay, quick story time. As mentioned before, the seller mentioned frequently that the tenants were difficult. And since we self-manage, I was a little nervous about meeting them. Be like, what if they're gonna give me a hard time? What if they don't pay? But guys, they were and still are the loveliest family. They've been so pleasant to work with. They pay on time every month. And honestly, it's been such a great experience. And I definitely let someone else's perspective of someone else fog my own judgment. And that was just like a really good lesson as a self-property manager.
Absolutely. I remember so many times we were like, listen, there's like three sides to a story. You know, there's the previous landlords, and then somewhere in the middle, there's the truth. And that was a great example. And honestly, I think the difference is how we treated them with respect. During lease signing, we asked if they had any outstanding maintenance issues, and they shared a few minor things, and we immediately got them taken care of.
And we hired all of that out.
It's a fantastic thing. Since closing in October, we've had an easy ride, which is why we sometimes forget we even own this property. The tenants are great, the property is really doing well, and we couldn't be happier.
We've only had one other maintenance issue, which was a leaking water tank. So we had a plumber go out and replace it. Unfortunately, thanks to reserves, we were happy to make that fix.
So now it's a little over 6 months later, and we just closed on our cash out refi. Thanks to buying low and the crazy market we're in, I'd say we made out pretty well.
So let's dive into the numbers.
We bought this 3-bed, 1-bath twin for $38,000. Closing costs and hiring our lawyer to draft the documents came to $1,217.
Then we did make some repairs, which included a new kitchen faucet, a new bathroom vanity and faucet, a new furnace, and a new hot water tank. All of those repairs totaled to $8,000.
So we're all in on this property for $47,217.
With the cash out refinance, we had the property appraised, and drum roll please, it came back at $110,000.
So much higher than we thought. We originally analyzed this deal at $90K, considering we weren't doing any cosmetic updates.
So let's run these numbers in the BRRRR BRRRR calculator and see how we did. All right, so we're at biggerpockets.com. We're gonna go to tools and BRRRR rental property, and let's start a new report. All right, report title, Marky Mark.
And obviously we know now that the ARV is gonna be 110.
And closing costs are around $1,100. Now, obviously, since we've already done this, we know that the estimated repair cost is $8,000.
Cash purchase, yes. And we refied after 6 months.
And the rehab time doesn't really matter because we already have somebody in there, so I'm just gonna say 1. So we refied and got a new loan for $75,000 at an interest rate of 4.625. And our closing costs and our lender fees and some other fees was $4,000. And we're amortized it over 30 years.
So now the monthly rent for Marky Mark is going to be $1,225. And insurance, $100, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we bill back water, sewer, tenants pay their own utilities, so that's really the only other landlord paid expense. And then for vacancy, we obviously already have somebody living there, so we did 5%. Repairs, we did not renovate this property, so we're gonna do at least 7% for repairs and maintenance, 7% for capital expenditures, and then 7% for property management. Now we all know I self-manage, but I like to get paid for the time that I'm putting in, and if we ever wanna hire out management in the future, we wanna make sure that we're accounting for it now.
And calculate.
Okay, so after our refinance, we're going to be cash flowing $170.90 per month of pure cash flow and an infinite cash on cash return. That's that ROI we like to see. Now in this area, we usually would like to cash a little bit more, like $200, but with the infinite cash on cash return, I mean, you can't really get any better.
No money in a deal, that's the deal that I want. So after all is said and done, we walked away with a check for $68,700.90. Deducting the $47,217 we put into this property, we not only have a cash flowing rental property that will continue to pay us month after month, we also made $21,483.90 in tax-free profit.
Looking back and comparing this property to any of the others we own, this one by far took the least amount of time, the least amount of physical effort, and is definitely the best return on investment in our entire portfolio.
And this is exactly why we're on the hunt for our next BRRRR property. If you're digging this type of detailed video, drop kick that like button and comment below with any questions that you may have.
Because your feedback is the only way we know if you're enjoying these videos, so don't just watch in peace. Let us know below.
Peace!